Hi there, I'm splitting this off from my last channel update video to give it more focus. That for the new year, during holiday break, I sat down and redesigned the layout of my YouTube channel a little, specifically for the playlists section. That I don't really do live streams and shorts, and I think when people have all those tabs open on their YouTube channel, it clutters it up too much, so I just have three things you can click on: the videos feed, the community tab for if I'm just sending a text post update if I'm a little late this weekend, or watch out, there's two videos coming tomorrow, and the playlists tab there. And the first thing that made me want to update the playlists was the new Dunk and Egg series is coming out. That I used to have just one playlist for other prequels and spin-offs that aren't House of the Dragon. And I realized that there's so much more Dunk and Egg content, it finally justified splitting that off into its own standalone playlist. So now there's a new, shiny Dunk and Egg A Night of the Seven Kingdoms playlist. Because it started with just one or two announcement things, but back in April, but when we got the news that the casting process has begun back in October, that was pretty big, and I sat down and put out a series of Dunk and Egg videos, which were backlogged from April that I wanted to do, things that of how they approach the structure, little elements of it I want to see. So now there's 9 videos in that, so there's going to be a Dunk and Egg playlist, and filming and casting news is coming in 3 months. They're going to start filming that in March, so it made sense to split off Dunk and Egg into its own playlist for now, and other stuff will be the other things that are on deck that are greenlit that have writers that will be the first prequels after that are Nymeria and the 10,000 Ships and the Voyages of Young Corlys the Sea Snake. Now there's going to be other spin-offs after that, but I've talked about this in other things, like they have to greenlight it first and write them first. The other Nymeria and Young Corlys already have writers attached. The earliest we're going to see those is 2 years from now. So I'm not splitting those off until we actually get filming and casting news for Nymeria and Young Corlys. So everything else goes into the other prequels, but now there's a dedicated Dunk and Egg one. And originally that was all I was going to do, make a Dunk and Egg one, because I realized there's a lot of it. Then I looked and realized the one big playlist I have for House of the Dragon content, which I started when it was greenlit, so this thing has been going since like mid-2020 when I had casting news for it, that I looked and realized it had about 350 videos in it. I didn't expect people to sit down and watch a playlist of 350 videos. I sometimes put things in a playlist because it groups them together in the algorithm. Even when you're not watching it as a playlist, it's a related video, so it'll pop up in the suggested videos feed, even if you're not watching it in playlist mode, that, oh, here's another related video to that, they're in the same playlist. That was way too long, and I split that into 3 pieces, and let me just explain how everything is organized now. Now, in browser view, I know a lot of you watch this on iPhone, something like half, but in browser view, you have 5 playlists per row. And you can see, like, you see in the screenshot here, you can see like 3 rows in a single screen at most. I don't want to have more than 3 rows. I don't want to have more that you need to scroll down to see every playlist. Towards the end of Game of Thrones, I had truly 3 dozen playlists. Because my thing was, I didn't think people watch it that way. I thought they grouped them that way in the algorithm. So I had an Arya list, a Daenerys list, and I realized this has to be more focused for people actually watching it. And moreover, not every video I've ever made needs to be in a playlist. They need to be things people could plausibly watch. I mean, like a full season worth of videos, maybe 30 is a bit much. It should be shorter than that, but it depends. So let me walk you through what we're doing here. Obviously, I do want to get back to covering Lord of the Rings, but I put that off until next fall. It makes more sense to do that in Season 2, when people are actually watching such content. I got backlogged on that. So there's going to be a Lord of the Rings playlist. I'm going to have that separate playlist for all the Doom of Valyria prequel leaks, Empire of Ash, but that's not growing. There's 30 in there. Until that eventually gets made, that's not going to expand either. I have a playlist for all the Game of Thrones Blu-ray and DVD commentary clips to show they really said this crap. That's also not going to expand anymore. A big thing with my channel is I actually do cover behind-the-scenes news at HBO, because it affects what shows get made, and too frequently I saw people just guessing, well, of course they're going to do this, like you aren't following the industry side of news. So I have a playlist on, here's industry news, because it affects what shows get greenlit. I have an ongoing list. There's only like 14 things in there. I delete things that are out of date in there. I try to keep the up-to-date ones in there. So it's not just everything ever, but industry news, I'm going to be talking about that also now, because it's New Year's, looking ahead to all the mergers and stuff, and they're going to be expanding Max again to new countries, so where is that going to be available is also a thing that affects the health of the channel, which in turn affects whether they have the money to greenlight things. Two other things, as I look at behind-the-scenes stuff, I have a playlist on scripts analysis, which up to now was just Game of Thrones scripts, but we got the script for the first episode of House of the Dragon, so it has now been updated to be Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Anything, even when Dunkin' Egg comes out, that's going to be script analysis in general. Most of it's me looking at, these people don't know how screenwriting works. Basic screenwriting, which is their specific job. But also all that nice info we got out of getting the House of the Dragon premiere script. Sort of paired with that, the nuts and bolts of making a show, there's scripts analysis. Another playlist is cinematography. That they didn't know how cinematography worked, and it's not in a vacuum. It's more so than the scripts. Like, the directors were fighting with them, this isn't what television looks like. And people laughed, oh, you're yelling about the cinematography. When I was saying it's nothing but close-ups. Season 8, it's even more close-ups and things like, no, this isn't how you film night scenes in total darkness. But it's other stuff besides that just you can tell when you're watching a David Benioff project. You're just pandering the actors because it's close-ups. At the moment, there's only 2 videos in the cinematography series, and I said, I'm dashing this off, I'm going to get back to it. That going into Season 2, I am actively planning this cinematography series, so that's room to grow there. So we got cinematography, scripts, industry news, the Blu-ray clips, Lord of the Rings, and I had other prequels, which I've split off, Empire of Ash, I've split off Dunkin' Egg. The other stuff which I had to split off from the old House of the Dragon thing, where it's just House of the Dragon, 350 videos. Well, I had already split off my my Season 1 reviews of all the 10 episodes in Season 1. And that was just like a dozen videos. It was the 10 episodes plus the season summary. So that was already a standalone list. I realized I can't just have one playlist for House of the Dragon. I'm going to have separate playlists for every season. So I split off, like, casting and filming news is out of date, so we know who's been cast now, so I don't need to include all of those in a playlist. I mean, they're still on my channel, they're not deleted, it's just I don't need to show them off, they're not current news anymore. So, within the Season 1, it's still called Season 1 Reviews, but at the end of the playlist, like a dozen videos in, I tacked on various big videos of note throughout the year, just for nostalgia. Not all of them, just like the one big combined, this is the summary of all the casting leaks video I tagged on at the end, just to show, oh, that's where our fandom was. Or award show videos related to Season 1, of the reaction to them winning the Golden Globes. Or my review of that making of book, which wasn't really that good, but I'm going to do deep dives on that later. But one or two thematic things relate, like an expanded thing from a Season 1 episode, like how they filmed the C-section. Or it's mostly just 2 or 3 other things on, oh, here's a really big filming leak. Remember when that notable filming leak happened? Purely for nostalgia, in case you're going through the Season 1 reviews. I don't expect a lot of people to watch that, but shoved them in there. It was maybe, there were a dozen review videos, now there's a dozen more. Remember these noteworthy things from the filming and casting process in Season 1. And I took the remaining set of things and split it into, for now, House of the Dragon Season 2 filming and casting news, which will eventually be replaced by Season 2 reviews with the more memorable filming and casting summary videos plugged in at the end there. Another thing, though, that I split off from this, which I actually think is the most important list, is House of the Dragon thematic and analysis videos, where it isn't just filming news, but things that apply to more than one season, like a guide to the 3 dragon breeds based on what they said in interviews, or the Lost Targaryen generation. That's really based on Fire and Blood, but I made it right before Season 1 of, we never really knew about Jaehaerys and Alysanne's children until just a few years ago when Fire and Blood came out. Starks at the Great Council, a couple of things like it. So, thematic videos which will apply to more than one season, which I actually think are my most important videos, because like, a casting leak is news is worth watching for a week or two. A thematic video you come back to watch again and again, or it can apply whenever. So I took the big House of the Dragon list, actually split it 4 ways. Now there's Season 2 filming news, Season 1 reviews with the filming leaks tacked on, casting news at the end just for nostalgia, thematic videos, and lastly, I split off a playlist which is basically magic. But because so much of the magic stuff in House of the Dragon is with the prophecy and the White Walkers, because once we heard the White Walkers were coming back for Season 2, I made a series of videos about what was the Night's Watch like in this time period, prequel time period, what were the White Walkers up to, and speculating on that. So there's like a dozen videos, 13 videos at present in this new playlist I made for White Walkers, prophecy, and magic in House of the Dragon. Because then there's a video in there where they explain the way we're going to put magic back in is in the form of prophecy. Because they're not really that magical of an era, but prophecy stuff is something that motivates people. And right now, of course, that's one of the things my videos is talking about. Everyone hates the White Walkers now after Season 8. Everyone hated the Targaryens after Season 8. It's not the White Walkers you hate as from the books. You hate that old TV show and how they ruined everything. And look at how many things you were, I don't even want to see Lannisters again. I don't want to see Starks again. And now everyone's hyped up for that for Season 2. So I actually think it's a really good idea to, well, it depends on how much it is, but if they just show this is what the White Walkers are doing and handle it better than Game of Thrones did, and I've said, like, show that they were accepting human sacrifices, and that this will be a plot revelation. Again, even, like, book channels who hated Season 8 have cautious optimism now that Ryan Condal knows what he's doing. He's working with Martin. I think this could rehabilitate or take the edge off. Nothing can fix Season 8, you see. I'm saying it'll be holding up a sign for people saying, it wasn't us, it was those idiot showrunners, this was a bad adaptation. Like, Joss Whedon's Justice League can't ruin the concept of DC Comics movie adaptations forever. But right now, people are just so disgusted they don't even make that comparison. So, it seems crazy for, White Walkers. Well, I'm anticipating Season 2. I made the playlist in anticipation of we know they're coming back in Season 2 for that. But as a catch-all, in case there's ever any other magic stuff, like other channels are bigger into the magic and mysticism stuff, like David Lightbringer's channel goes into that a lot. I don't as much, but for... it's, hey, the White Walkers are coming back in Season 2 playlist. And it made sense to split it off, because it's not just thematic. So, if there's 5 playlists per row, and you can fit 3 rows on screen, I never want to have more than, like, 15 playlists on my channel at a given time. And I'm going to be launching into other projects in the spring, mostly for Season 2, but, like... thematic, no, I already have a thing for thematic videos, and I plan to head for cinematography. But for maybe the next 2 years, I don't think I'm going to be reconfiguring this too much until we get a Nymeria show or a Young Corlys show or something. That there's enough casting and filming news I need to split it off. Obviously, that'll be around the time Season 3 comes out. I'm going to make a separate playlist for Season 3 filming news. But, again, I had like 40 playlists by the time Game of Thrones ended, because I had one for every character. when people don't search for content that way, that it's this wall of content. They don't look for that. You have to have fewer playlists that are relatively put together that way. So please poke around with this. I've been on a weeding purge. I weeded it so that it's only like 15 to at most 30 things per thing, that not everything needs to be in a playlist as some monument to what I did in the past year, but important videos are now in the playlists. And the two things that sparked this were, I'm sorry, I'm just rambling unscripted. The two things that started this were, wow, there's so much Dunk and Egg news, and they are going to be filming Dunk and Egg in 3 months. We're going to get we could wake up tomorrow to hear that Dunk has been cast, because we know the process has begun. So, oh look, there's a separate standalone playlist for Dunk and Egg content, and the House of the Dragon one got so big that I realized I have to split this into news by season or thematic videos. That is what my channel is going to look like for the foreseeable future. Oh, one other one I have is culture, society, and world building, which is supposed to apply to every prequel, not just House of the Dragon. And I might delete that or merge it. I haven't updated that in forever, because if it's covering things like how the seasons work, or a big one is food, or medieval concepts, or things like that, might double up with that. I might merge that with something else. I never really developed it too much. It was just standalone videos I thought were kind of fun that apply to everything. But there's going to be a thematic video playlist and a filming news playlist, and I don't know if you really watched through these, but people weren't using them because they had too many videos in them, that I streamlined it for the coming year.